Every therapist charges you $200 an hour. Hanuman gave the same advice 5,000 years ago, for free, and he backed it up by literally ripping open his chest. Hanuman is the most beloved figure in Hindu mythology. Millions pray to him every Tuesday and Saturday, but most people worship him as a symbol of strength and devotion. What they're missing is that Hanuman's story is actually a complete psychological case study, a step-by-step blueprint for overcoming learned helplessness, processing fear, embodying truth, understanding surrender, and integrating opposing forces within yourself. 5 moments, 5 psychological frameworks, 11 minutes that might change how you see your own life. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Identity. As a child, Hanuman tried to swallow the sun. He literally flew into the sky and attempted to eat it because he thought it was a fruit. That's how powerful he was. So powerful that swallowing the sun seemed like a reasonable idea to a toddler. Indra, the king of the gods, panicked and struck Hanuman with his thunderbolt, breaking his jaw. The word Hanuman literally means broken jaw. And in the aftermath, the sages cursed him. You will forget your powers until someone reminds you. Think about that. The most powerful being in creation, stronger than any god, able to change size at will, capable of flying across oceans, was made to forget everything he could do. He lived most of his life as an ordinary monkey. Not because his powers were taken, because he was made to believe they didn't exist. In psychology, this is called learned helplessness. Martin Seligman's famous experiments showed that when animals were repeatedly exposed to situations they couldn't control, they stopped trying, even when escape became possible. They learned that they were helpless, and that learned belief became more powerful than any cage. Hanuman's curse is learned helplessness. And here's the uncomfortable question. What have you been cursed to forget about yourself? What powers, creativity, courage, intelligence, love did you once have before someone told you they weren't real? Before a parent, a teacher, a breakup, a failure struck you with their thunderbolt and broke your jaw? Because here's what the myth teaches. The powers never left. They were always there. Hanuman just needed someone to remind him. And in the Ramayana, that someone was Jambavan. Chapter 2. The Leap Across the Ocean. Once Jambavan reminds Hanuman of his power, what happens? Does Hanuman carefully plan? Does he assess the risks? Does he build a strategy? No. He grows to an enormous size and leaps. One single, terrifying, irreversible leap across the entire ocean. This is exposure therapy, and it's one of the most effective psychological treatments ever developed. The principle is simple. If you're afraid of something, you don't think your way out of it. You expose yourself to it. Gradually or all at once, what therapists call flooding. Hanuman doesn't do gradual exposure. He floods. He doesn't dip a toe in the ocean. He launches his entire body across it, and the journey isn't smooth. Surasa, a sea monster, tries to swallow him. Mount Mainaka offers him a comfortable rest stop. Simika, a shadow-grabbing demon, tries to drag him down. Every one of these obstacles maps to a psychological barrier. Surasa is the overwhelming fear that tries to consume you whole. Hanuman doesn't fight her. He shrinks small enough to enter and exit her mouth, satisfying her curse without being destroyed. He acknowledges the fear without being consumed by it. Mount Mainaka is comfort. The temptation to rest in the middle of the challenge, to plateau, to say, this is far enough. Hanuman thanks the mountain but doesn't stop. Simika is the shadow, the internal saboteur that grabs you from below when you're making progress. The voice that says, who do you think you are? Hanuman kills her mid-flight. He doesn't negotiate with the saboteur. The ocean leap isn't about physical strength. It's a complete blueprint for how to face fear. Remember who you are, commit completely, acknowledge fear without being consumed, refuse comfort, and destroy self-sabotage without hesitation. Chapter 3. The Chest. This is the scene that defines Hanuman forever. After the war is won, after Ram's coronation, a courtier questions Hanuman's devotion. You wear Ram's name on your lips, they say, but what's actually in your heart? Hanuman doesn't argue. He doesn't explain. He rips open his own chest, tears apart skin and muscle and bone, and inside, inscribed on every fiber of his heart, are Ram and Sita. This is embodied cognition, one of the most fascinating areas of modern psychology. The theory, championed by researchers like George Lakoff and Antonio Damasio, says that emotion isn't just in the mind, it's in the body. You don't just think love, you feel it in your chest. You don't just process fear, your stomach drops. You don't just experience grief, your throat closes. Hanuman's chest rip isn't a miracle. It's the most literal expression of embodied cognition ever depicted. He's saying, my devotion isn't a thought. It's not a performance. It's not words. It's structural. It's in my tissue. It is my body. And here's why that matters psychologically. Research shows that physical expression of emotion strengthens the emotion itself. When you clench your fist, you actually feel more anger. When you smile, even a fake smile, your brain registers more happiness. The body doesn't just express what the mind feels. The body teaches the mind what to feel. Hanuman prostrating before Ram, carrying him on his shoulders, opening his chest. These aren't just displays, they're practices. By physically embodying devotion, he deepens the devotion itself. The physical act creates the psychological reality. So what are you embodying? What does your posture say about what you believe? When your shoulders hunch, your body is teaching your mind submission. When you stand tall, your body teaches your mind confidence. Hanuman ripped open his chest to show what was inside. What would we find if you opened yours? Chapter 4. Surrender versus Submission. This is where Hanuman breaks every Western psychological framework. Hanuman calls himself Ram's Dasa, his servant. He bows. He follows. He obeys. In Western psychology, this looks like textbook codependency. It looks like submission. It looks unhealthy. But here's where you have to pay closer attention. Hanuman isn't powerless. He's the most powerful being in the room. He could destroy anyone. He could rule any kingdom. He chose not to. That's not submission. That's the most radical act of psychological freedom imaginable. Submission comes from a lack of options. You submit because you have to. You obey because you're afraid. There's no choice. Surrender comes from having every option and choosing one. Hanuman could do anything. He chose devotion. That's not weakness, it's the integration of power and purpose. Martin Seligman, the same psychologist who discovered learned helplessness, later pioneered positive psychology. And one of his key findings was that the happiest people aren't the most free. They're the most purposeful. People who have a cause larger than themselves consistently report higher life satisfaction, lower depression, and greater resilience. Hanuman's devotion to Ram isn't a cage. It's his organizing principle. It gives every action meaning. When he leaps across the ocean, it's not for himself. It's for Ram. When he burns Lanka, it's not for revenge. It's for Sita. When he carries the mountain of herbs, it's not for glory. It's for Lakshmana. The myth is teaching something psychology took decades to discover. Freedom without purpose is just chaos, and purpose without freedom is prison. Hanuman has both. That's why he's happy. Not in spite of his devotion, because of it. Chapter 5. The Warrior-Monk Paradox. Hanuman is simultaneously the greatest warrior and the greatest devotee. He burns Lanka to the ground and he sings Ram's name in gentle meditation. He carries a mountain through the sky and he sits quietly at Ram's feet. He is maximum violence and maximum peace in one body. In Jungian psychology, this is called the integration of opposites, holding contradictory qualities without one destroying the other. Jung believed that psychological wholeness requires embracing your shadow. The brave person must know their cowardice. The gentle person must know their rage. The intellectual must know their instinct. Modern culture doesn't allow this. It says, pick a lane. Be strong or be sensitive. Be powerful or be kind. Be ambitious or be content. These false binaries create one-dimensional people. People who are strong but brittle, gentle but passive, smart but disconnected from their bodies. Hanuman refuses to pick a lane. He is the warrior who weeps, the destroyer who heals, the giant who serves. And Hindu mythology doesn't present this as contradictory. It presents it as the definition of divine wholeness. The toxic masculinity crisis in the modern world comes from exactly this split. Men are told to be warriors, but not devotees. To be powerful, but not vulnerable. To fight, but never cry. Hanuman is the antidote. He shows that true strength isn't the absence of softness, it's the ability to be both at full volume. When Hanuman lifts the mountain, his muscles strain. When he sings for Ram, his voice trembles with emotion. He doesn't switch between warrior and devotee, he is both simultaneously. That's not a contradiction, that's completion. 5 moments, 5 psychological frameworks, 1 truth. Hanuman forgot he could fly. Someone had to remind him. He leapt across an ocean because he refused to be stopped by fear. He ripped open his chest because the truth doesn't live in words. It lives in the body. He surrendered not because he was weak, but because purpose is more powerful than freedom. And he became both warrior and devotee because wholeness demands contradiction. You've been cursed too. Someone, a parent, a teacher, a partner, a failure, a culture, struck you with their thunderbolt. And you forgot what you could do. You forgot you could fly. This isn't a myth about a monkey god, it's a mirror, and the reflection might be uncomfortable, but that's where the healing starts. Download the free Shadow Work Journal. It's designed to help you remember who you are beneath the curse. Link in the description. And subscribe. We decode mythology every week. The next one might be about you. Jai Shri Ram.